I'm a firm believer that if you have a top 1% physique, you should be in the top 1% of earners in the world. You have done the thing that 99% of people will just never do. You have the 1% physique, you've been in the gym consistently for 5 years, and you know more about health and fitness than most personal trainers do. The problem is that most people try and post content about it. They post themselves flexing in the mirror, transformations, and sure, yeah, they get a couple thousand followers and maybe they even get decent views, but most of that content makes $0 and brings in no qualified leads for an actual coaching business. The thing is, if you want to hit 10 to 20K a month with an online coaching business, you have to treat it like the business that it is. You have to target the right person with a market broad enough that it's scalable, but narrow enough that you have one specific person with one specific problem that you can solve. Then you need the right content strategy that isn't just posing in front of the mirror, but that actually brings in that one person consistently without having to guess what to post. And then from that point, you need actual sales scripts and closing frameworks that get people on a call and booked into a high-ticket coaching program. It is not the easiest business model to start, but it is very, very simple if you follow all of these first principles. It's how my client Simon was able to go viral and generate thousands of dollars for his coaching business and tens of thousand followers and leads for his program. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down step by step the entire 0 to 10 to 20K a month coaching roadmap, following all the principles that I've used with my clients and all the principles that I'm going to use with my future clients. Now, if we're starting from absolute basics, what is online coaching? Well, to put it simply, it is monetizing your physique online, okay? Pretty simple, right? So if I wanted to make 20K a month with an online coaching offer, I would follow this exact 3-step system, like I said, that I follow with my clients that have gotten them to hit their first 10, 20K months. First is your positioning. So a lot of people skip this part, but this is really the most important part when it comes to building your online coaching business, because this is the foundation upon which everything else rests, okay? So your position is your niche and your offer as a no-brainer solution for your ICP's problems. If you don't know what an ICP is, we'll get into that in a little bit. This is also your positioning as a coach and essentially what you do, who you help, how you're different from everyone else in the industry. Next is attracting. So attracting your ideal client and dream follower with proven content strategies. This part is very, very simple, but a lot of people overcomplicate the hell out of it, to be honest. And then from that point, it's converting. So converting your followers to buyers using proven DM scripts and frameworks, how to get them onto a sales call, how to book them naturally in the DMs in a way that doesn't feel like you're selling to them, and how to make the content so compelling, essentially all objections collapse when they hop on the call with you. So first, we're gonna start with the positioning. So this starts with selecting your niche. And there's a 4-question litmus test for selecting your niche that I take every single one of my clients through. The 4-question niche selection is very simple. What are you good at? What do you like doing? What can you be paid for? And what does the world need? Okay, these are 4 questions that you can ask yourself to determine your coaching niche. Your offer will never become saturated if it is highly specific and highly specialized. That is the importance of selecting your coaching niche. So let me take you through a bad example I see all the time. It honestly pisses me off every time I see this. I help busy professionals lose fat and pack on muscle. First of all, everyone is doing this niche. How can you compete if there's 100 coaches selling the exact same thing? How are you different? Are you selling the same thing and you offer the same solution as them, right? These are all questions that are gonna go through your ICP's head. And then there's not enough for someone to care, right? A busy professional age 30 to 40 doesn't care as much about getting shredded. They just want to have a body they're content with and live a long, healthy life by the time they get to this point, right? They just want to look good and feel good. So why are you selling losing fat and packing on muscle to an audience that doesn't care about it, right? So if we go back to our 4 questions, yeah, sure, maybe you're good at losing fat and packing on muscle. Okay, you've been doing this for 5+ years. You know what you're talking about. And yeah, you really like helping busy professionals, you know? Maybe you are a 9-to-5er or you were a 9-to-5er and you found systems for yourself to help you hit your goals while working a full-time job. So maybe you just really get fulfilled from that, okay? That just fires you up, makes you tick. You can be paid for it, okay? Yeah, I mean, this is probably a pretty profitable niche for the most part. You know, busy professionals, they have money to spend. They're 9-to-5ers. They 30 to 40, they probably have savings, if anything. But what does the world need? So really, does the world need this? Do busy professionals actually care about losing fat and packing on muscle, especially if they're age 30 to 40? Probably not as much. So what is a good example? Much better example is I help men in the trades build bodies that will serve them on the job site without spending hours in the gym. So now you have what I like to call a one-of-one offer. You're maybe competing with 3-4 other coaches who do something similar rather than the hundreds who are all selling to busy professionals, because busy professionals just isn't specific enough, to be completely honest. There's so many busy professionals. Go up to anyone in a 9-to-5 or any sort of profession. Ask them if they're busy. I guarantee you 99% of them will say, yes, I'm busy. That's way too big of a market. So another important part with this is the outcome is tied to the ICP. You are selling a desired outcome versus a generic outcome. It's what separates a personal trainer from an online fitness coach, right? Because if someone just wants to lose fat and pack on muscle, why don't they just go down to Anytime Fitness and get their $30 an hour trainer? Why are they choosing you specifically? Well, because you have an outcome that they desire, and they know that you are the right coach for them, okay? So if you want to choose your niche, you ask these 4 questions, and then you create your I help statement. I help, ideal client profile, right? So ICP, who you help, which is one specific person with one specific problem, achieve desired result in time frame with/without signature method. So if we go back to the good example, I help men in the trades, right? So that is one specific person with one specific problem, build bodies that will serve them on the job site, desired result, in time frame. You don't necessarily need the time frame for this one, without spending hours in the gym. So with/without, that's your signature method. You don't spend hours in the gym, right? Which is also something that they care about because they spend hours on the job site. Men in the trades usually work 10, 12-hour days. Your signature method should be reflective of what they need specifically. Okay, so these are the brand sheets that I take every single one of my clients through, right? So identifying essentially who your ICP is, what your brand identity looks like, competitors in your niche, your business identity, what do you want your business to look like? Who do you want to help? Your opportunity. So what opportunity are you presenting these people with? And then kind of like your voice kit. So what are certain things that you say that make you different from everyone else in your industry? Next is we help you build out a client roadmap. So essentially, what phases do you take your clients through to help them achieve this desired result? And what tools do you use along the timeline to help them get to that desired result? Breaking it down step by step, so it's very easy to pitch to someone when you're on a call with them. Because when you have specific results in specific time frames, you can charge premium prices. Okay, that is the whole point. You want to be charging premium prices, which brings me very nicely to how to price out the offer. When you're pricing out an online coaching offer, you're going to want to sell high ticket. What does that mean? Well, you're selling a program at least $1,500, okay? And you should be charging at least 3 to 6 months upfront. Why is that? Well, first of all, it is almost impossible to get someone insane results in their first month. And if they aren't financially committed long-term, they're probably gonna drop you as their coach. Let's be honest, you're dealing with people who don't have the habits that you have, aren't as quote unquote locked in as you are. A lot of people expect quick results and they're not financially committed to you, so they're gonna stop working with you. This leads to high churn, low credibility, and low income, and you get stuck in what I call the personal trainer trap. You just have people funneling in from the gym who don't really care about their fitness. They wanna try it out, and then they don't see results right away, and then they quit. And if you can charge $3K for 6 months up front, which is $500 a month, you only need 3 new clients per month for 6 months to hit $9K a month. Now, if you want to hit $20K a month, say you charge $4K for 6 months. Okay, this is going to be some quick math here. Hold on. To get to $20K, you need 5 new clients a month for 6 months to hit $20K a month, right? And then if your fulfillment is so great and these people like your training so much and you've gotten them such good results, most likely they are going to sign back with you again. So that is the first step, positioning yourself to help one specific person with one specific problem, differentiate yourself in your industry, create a one-of-one offer, and then price the offer to reflect its nature. Next, I'm going to be going over the full content strategy and market research strategies. I have tried thousands of content strategies, quite literally, and there's only one that has allowed me to consistently go viral, get leads, and collect cash. Now, this is the same content strategy that got my client TJ going viral in his first 2 weeks in the program and helped multiple beginner fitness coaches do the exact same thing. The strategy involves 3 types of content, which a lot of people have probably heard already: the top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. The problem is no one explains how to do each one practically. They just tell you what they do, so I'm gonna break it down step by step. First is the top of your funnel. And before we talk about this, we need to talk about the ICP and the dream follower. Your ICP is who you're selling to, who your offer is built for, one specific person with one specific problem. Now, the dream follower, this is where people either go too broad or too narrow. Your dream follower is essentially who you want to follow your page, your fan base that your ICP is also a part of. Using myself as an example, my ICP is fitness coaches making between 2 to 5K a month, who most likely also work part or full-time to get by, who are wanting to scale into a fully online business. Now, this is a very niche market, which is totally fine, but if we want to get reach with our content, we have to make it more broad. So our dream follower is any online entrepreneur trying to make money with content creation. This allows me to speak to a larger demographic without completely removing my ICP from the picture and still targeting them intentionally. Now, this is where the top of the funnel comes into play. Top of funnel is content that is meant to create awareness and leads, so bringing new followers in and eyeballs to your page. If you're struggling with lead flow, this is what you should be posting. And quick side note, if you're struggling with qualified lead flow, I'm going to touch that in a minute because it's kind of a separate issue. So top of funnel content is targeted to your dream follower. And the way to do this is by spamming viral formats. But essentially, you want to make your messaging broad, play on emotions of your dream follower, and then use trending formats to package it and get the most reach possible. Pretty simple when you break it down into those steps. But for most of my top of funnel, I posted in trial reels. This is to get as much reach as possible with non-followers, and I can test different hooks, messaging, pacing, etc., all with the same format. If you're struggling specifically with qualified lead flow, your messaging is probably off, and really this comes down to knowing your ICP and your dream follower to their core. I like to say their hopes, their dreams, their desires, and their fears, and knowing how to weed out unqualified leads. Now, this brings me very nicely to middle of funnel content. Middle of funnel content is designed to speak more directly to your ICP, to break their limiting beliefs, pre-handle objections, pre-qualify them, and solve their problems. To know all this information, all you need to do is look at your previous DMs and sales calls. What you can do, like right now, is write down 10 limiting beliefs you've faced, 10 objections you've gotten, 10 problems your ICP has expressed to you before, and 10 things you could say that would weed out everyone else who isn't qualified to work with you. If you don't have this data, you can feed your ICP into Claude and get it to come up with hypotheticals for each. What you have is 40 video ideas ready that you can simply make raw yapping videos about on Reels that will nurture and build trust with your audience. These are the kind of videos you should post when you have a lot of leads coming in, but you're facing very high resistance and low trust on your sales calls and in the DMs. Finally, which is arguably the most important type and the easiest, to be completely honest, is the bottom of your funnel. What this looks like is client results, highlight stories with calls to action, client interviews, etc. You post this kind of content when you have a ton of leads and low resistance, but no one is moving or taking action onto your offer. There's no urgency created. This is probably the most simple kind of content to create, but it will create the extra layer of trust needed to push people over the edge of buying from you. All they need to see is a client result from someone in a similar position to them for them to finally take the leap and buy your program. One of my clients came to me with a massive Instagram following, a genuine transformation, but almost zero paying clients. His content had no direction. He was banking on memes and trends to keep the page alive. Qualified leads had dried up completely with a 230,000 follower page. He had a 90-day fat loss challenge that nobody was signing up for. 30 days later, one reel hit 4 million views, generated 10,000 followers, and brought in $4,000 in coaching signups from a single piece of content. 3 things made this happen. First, before we even touched a single piece of content, we got clear on who Simon was trying to reach. Not his ideal client, but his ideal follower. The thing is that most coaches post for everyone and wonder why it resonates with no one. Your follower and your buyer are 2 very different people, but your buyer lives inside your follower base. If you build your content to attract the right follower, clients will follow. We call this the dream follower versus the ICP, the ideal customer profile. And the gap between them is what separates coaches who go viral and get clients from coaches who go viral and get absolutely nothing. In Simon's onboarding, we asked a couple really key questions. You're going to want to write these down. Who is your dream follower? What is their story? What are they passionate about? And what are their deepest fears? And separately, who is your ideal client? Who would you like to work with ideally? What's their current situation? What outcome do they want with their business or their body? What limiting beliefs are holding them back? And the two lenses are both critical for targeting your content correctly. Now, the thing is, Simon already had a large following from documenting his 150-pound weight loss, but his content had drifted off, right? He was posting for the algorithm, not a specific person. Once we got clear on exactly who that person was, their fears, their frustrations, the language they used to describe their problem, every content decision now had a filter that we would run everything through. Before you post another reel, you should answer these questions in writing. Who is your dream follower? What do they lay awake thinking about? Who inside that follower base are you actually trying to sell to? Once the clarity comes first, the content strategy comes after. Once we knew who we were talking to, the question was what to say. And this is where a lot of people get it backwards, to be completely honest. Going viral actually isn't the goal. Going viral with the right people is. Targeted virality is what we talk about. Most coaches who go viral get a small follower spike, then they get nothing. They get no leads, no signups, and no DMs from people who are actually wanting to buy. Their content hits super broad but not specific. Funny, shocking, entertaining, whatever, but it didn't make the right person feel anything. So the concept of targeted virality means taking viral formats and delivery and inserting the emotions, struggles, and fears of your dream follower at the core. So when that specific person watches, the video doesn't just scroll past, it stops them because it speaks to someone they're living. It stops them because it speaks to them directly. Now, once we defined Simon's dream follower, we built content angles around the exact emotions that that person carried, right? So it wasn't just generic fat loss content, motivational clips. It was content that landed on the specific pain of a specific person in a way that made them feel seen. That's the real gap between what gets views and a reel that gets views, followers, leads, and signups from the exact same video. There's no hook framework that's gonna get you 1 million views. If you understand who you're actually talking to, what they're feeling, and how to market to them, you don't need a hook framework, right? Because the right piece of information, the right emotion is gonna hook them in. Every piece of content or every reel you post should pass one test before you post it. Would this make my dream follower feel a strong emotion or deliver strong value to them? If yes, make it. If no, don't make it. Now we knew who we were talking to and what we wanted them to feel. The last piece was really the format and the packaging that would deliver it. And that's where market research comes in, and this is the most important part for getting reach. So we didn't invent a viral format, we actually just found one that already worked and made it ours. Every guru in the space is gonna try and sell you their proprietary hook framework, and even if that worked, you'd be dependent on them for the next one. The market is already telling you every single day what works. You just have to know where to look. Outlier videos are videos that perform exponentially better than the average video on a given account, right? So whether it's 5, 10, 20x, those are your research targets. You're not gonna wanna copy them directly, but just because they prove that demand exists for it. The format worked, right? The emotion landed. Your job is to take that structure, fill it with your angle, your dream follower's pain, and your story. So what I do for my entire market research is I use vidIQ, not sponsored. I use the extension on Instagram, and I open the Reels tab and I start scrolling. vidIQ basically overlays an outlier score on each video. Anything 5x or above, and I stop and I note the format, the text hook, the angle, how the audio lands, whether it syncs to the video, whether it shifts at an emotional pivot. 30 minutes of this gives me at minimum 7 outlier hooks, formats, audio styles, and angles to work with. Then from that point, you can combine them into a concept. A format from one video, an angle from another, an audio approach from a third. Then I run it through that question filter. Does it actually hit my dream follower? If yes, then I fully script it out. So what you can do to do this for yourself is spend 30 minutes this week on outlier research in your niche and outside your niche. You're looking for proof of what your market responds to, then building something original on top of that. If you do this consistently, there's no possible way you're ever gonna run out of video ideas because you will be constantly supplied. To recap everything, before we posted a single reel, we defined Simon's dream follower and his ideal client. We built content angles around that specific emotion that person carries. We used outlier research to find formats already proven to work in the market and then made them ours. 1 video a day for 30 days and then 1 hit. 4 million views, 10,000 followers, $4,000 in coaching signups from a low ticket offer from a single piece of content. This is a process and it works because it's built on understanding your audience, not the algorithm. So you have your offer, you have one specific person with one specific problem that you help. You have a content strategy that is getting you all this attention. Maybe you've had a couple of good videos go viral. You've got a ton of leads coming into the page, and most likely they should all be qualified leads if you follow everything properly. Now, how do you convert those leads into actual buyers, right? This is the most important step. And I'm going to break a limiting belief right now for a ton of coaches. I've heard this a million times, but you are reaching out to people. A lot of coaches say, I don't want to reach out to people. You're reaching out to people to see if you can help them. This is the first step of coaching, okay? The sales process is the first step of a coaching program because you're reaching out to them, understanding their goals, understanding their motivations, and you are positioning yourself as a solution to their problem, which you are, and you are going to help them solve this problem that they have expressed to you. So if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I don't want to do business that way, I don't want to reach out to people, I don't want to force my program onto people, well, people need to be helped. And if you're not going to do it, another coach is going to do it, and he's going to make more money than you, he's going to be more successful than you, and he's going to get better client results than you, and his clients are going to be happier than your clients because he was more pushy and he's a better coach. So converting. What is the setting workflow that I use, the DM setting workflow that I use, and all my clients use to get people onto sales calls and then book them? So here's how it starts. I have many chats set up to have an opening message to every single new follower. Now, if there is a response, then I move right into the sales script. If not, I'll wait 24 to 48 hours and I will do a personalized story reply with a question. The whole goal is literally just to get a reply. That is it. When you're sending this first message, you're not trying to pitch anything. You just want them to answer because once they answer, they're yours, okay? They've started a conversation with you. They're gonna feel obligated to reply. The first question I insert is awesome. So like, where are you from? What do you do for work? So this will pre-qualify clients and move the convo forward in a non-salesy way, right? You just seem like you're kind of interested in who they are and what they're asking, right? And make sure for all these questions, side note, that you're not just copying them word for word. You do have to insert your own voice into it, because if not, you're just gonna sound like a sales robot and you're just going through this checklist of questions. So they express, oh, like, what do you, where they're from, what they do for work, right? So then you move the conversation forward. Oh, that's great, man. I used to work XYZ. I used to be in the same position as you, blah, blah, blah. Do you have any kind of big goals you're chasing right now? Basically, you're trying to understand what they're looking to achieve with this question. Now, from this point, you want to kind of move the question or move the conversation towards fitness and weight loss. So once you've kind of understood their goals for their fitness, then you're going to want to get into it and say, why is losing weight important to you specifically? This is really important. So people don't want to lose weight for the sake of losing weight or make money for the sake of making money. They want to lose weight so they feel more confident and be able to do more activities with their kids, or they want to make more money so that they can retire their parents and live a life of freedom, right? So finding the why they want to achieve their goals is important because it creates emotion and makes the prospect realize the importance of reaching their goal. You can't just move on to the next question, especially if they're expressing something that's very important to them, okay? Because they're gonna get emotional. If you just sound like you're trying to sell them, they are going to put their guard up and they're gonna be much more highly resistant to your sales process. They say, okay, I feel that. And what does your current situation look like? Just so I can see how close you are. So this creates a gap and pain. This is super important that you get this before you pitch the call. If you don't have enough pain created, then they're most likely gonna no-show, or they're just not even they're gonna leave you on red. They're not even gonna come to the call. From this point, you're gonna wanna ask what their biggest obstacle is from stopping, right? So you can say, what's the biggest obstacle? What have you done so far, right? What have you done so far and what's your biggest obstacle? So understanding the obstacle positions your product and service as a solution, right? You can see kind of step by step how we're moving towards your program as a specific solution for them. And then you move into the pitch. So damn man, I can't imagine how difficult it has to be dealing with obstacle when you've been trying to get to your goal. How big of a priority is this? Is this something you're trying to get figured out now or like 6 months down the line? Then this creates urgency, because if someone isn't urgent about hitting their goals, what are you gonna do, right? It's gonna be much harder to pitch them on the call. This also pre-handles an objection they probably will throw at you on the call, like, oh, now it's not the right time. And if they say it's not urgent, then you're gonna wanna circle back and understand the reasoning why. They say they wanna do this, something, they've expressed the pain to you, they've expressed their obstacles, they've expressed that this is something they wanna do sooner rather than later. Yeah, I can imagine you're wanting that handled now. I've got a few spots open on my calendar tomorrow. I can show exactly how my client then you're going to insert a case study that's similar to them, or your own transformation. You could be like, I can show you exactly how I was able to, lose 10 pounds of fat while still working my trades job in literally 6 months. And then I could break down the exact process to see if I could help in any way. If I send you the link, and then from this point, I wouldn't send a Calendly link. I would book them in manually. Then from this point, you're going to want some sort of a post-booking process, right? So you're going to want to build rapport with them. You're going to want to keep the conversation going. You're going to want to send reminders. And I would say a day before, 24 hours before, 12 hours before, 3 hours before, and then half an hour before the meeting, at least, you should just remind them, make sure they're good to go. Send them free resources. So you should have a VSL scripted out that brings someone in with intent to buy, and that will increase your show up rate as well. And then any other free resources you have, be like, oh yeah, I have this YouTube video breaking down exactly how I did this. I've also got this free meal plan template if you want to check this out. And then make sure they've consumed all these free resources, because the more value they consume before they get on the call, the more value debt you create, essentially. The more indebted they feel to you that you have provided all these resources to you, and then they're going to feel like they need to show up to the call because you've done so much for them. Next, after you have this and you've been sending out all your DMs, very, very important step is tracking. So this is the tracking table I get all my clients to fill out as well. Every single day you post, okay, did I post on Instagram? Did I post on YouTube? Did I post a story? Did I spend any money on ads? When you're first starting out, you probably won't spend any money on ads. And then new followers you gained, how much outreach you sent, how many links you sent, new conversations, follow-ups, calls proposed, calls booked, and then qualified calls. From this point, when you have all this down, you can track everything and see where your bottlenecks are, which brings me to the final piece of everything, is putting it all together and scaling, okay? So when you're tracking everything, it becomes much easier to see where exactly your bottleneck is and how you can get to those 10, 20K months. So say, I want to make 20K a month, right? So kind of how I broke it down earlier. Well, that means you'd need 4 new clients per month at a 5K paid in full option. So if you have that, you would probably need, with a 40% close rate, which mind you is pretty high, but that is the industry standard, especially when people are consuming organic content. You would need 10 calls a month with a 40% close rate. So 10 times 0.4, 4 closes per month. Now, what does that look like? You're booking 2 to 3 calls a week. Well, how do you book 2 to 3 calls a week? That means you're going to need to send 70 DMs per week with a 3% call booking rate. So with a 3% call booking rate from outreach message, 70 DMs per week, which really doesn't sound that hard when you break it down like that. And all that requires is 10 new followers, 10 new ICP followers a day, or 10 new ICP interactions per day. So if you have 10 ICP interactions, like ICP interacting with your post per day, you can hit 20K per month if everything else in your process is dialed. But yeah, that's now if you've been stuck at the 0, maybe 5K months for a while, and you're really wanting to scale and you're really wanting to take your coaching business seriously, I've got a link in the description for my Calendly. We can walk through a call together, go through your bottlenecks, see exactly my process beyond just this roadmap, and see exactly how you would implement it into your business starting today.